Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Greatly appreciate you stopping by. Today, I want to talk about rinseless washing. Rinseless washing is a very conflicted thing when it comes to the detailing world. You have two sides and no in between. It doesn't work, it doesn't wash, I'm going to scratch my car, or the guys that wouldn't ever use soap again. All they want to do is use rinseless. There's no really in between. I'm probably the most in between you'll get. So I have used Absolute in the past. I love it. It's the first rinseless wash I've grabbed a hold of, and I said I don't feel like I'm hurting my paint. Optimum No Rinse I have used in the past. I know that I believe in the technology, but I just never got really quite what I was wanting out of it. This is all subjective. Let's keep that in mind. Everybody's going to stick and have their own brands. You're going to have the guys that are going to stick with Optimum No Rinse or ONR. You're going to have guys that are going to try out new products and like other things. I figured let me do a comparison. I have no doubt that they clean exactly the same. I have no doubt that they have cleaning ability with no issues. My biggest concern is lubrication. I want to compare them side by side on the hood of my Mustang here and see what makes me feel better, because that's all that matters. I'm the person washing my car, so I want to be the person to feel good about doing it. And if I don't feel good, it's not a fun experience, and I think anybody can speak to that. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, that's fine too. Let's go ahead and get started with mixing these up. So we're gonna go ahead and mix up some Optimum No Rinse here. At a 256:1 dilution. I've got the water level up to the warning symbol. Right about there is where the top of it is. I'm gonna go ahead. Each capful, most know that it's a half an ounce to a gallon. I estimate there's about 3.5 gallons, so I'll just probably mix it up as 4. So let's go ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh. There it is, nice and thin. You can see it gets cloudy. Let's go ahead, throw a mitt in there. I'm gonna use blue for Optimum, of course, because it's blue. Go ahead and mix that up. These are Rag Company chenille mitts, so good high quality. I have a dirt lock in the bottom of this, and then I have a creature for a drying towel. It's not normally used as a drying towel, but in this case, I wanna keep the playing field even. So I just wanna go ahead and use something that's not normally used as a drying towel. I'm gonna take a bottle for my pre-soak, fill it up right out of the bucket here. There we go, it's plenty enough. It's a half a bottle, it's enough to do probably the whole car. Put the lid on, we'll go ahead and hang that right on the side. For the red bucket, got the same amount of water, warning label right here. Right about the same amount of water. I'm gonna put in the same amount, 256:1. Make sure you shake this up because this stuff is thicker. And whenever you're pouring this in, it's the same half ounce to a gallon. But this one, they want you to overfill the cap just a little bit further than the cap itself. So we'll go ahead, generous capful, 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Stick the cap in there, rinse it out, the cap back on. And you'll see this has a much chunkier thickness to it. So I don't like to stick my mitt in there because I don't want that in there. Mix it up with your hand first is my recommendation. As you can see, mixes up just fine. Once again, I'm going to use a red chenille from the Rag Company with this. So then we know that, then you know which one I'm using. Fill up our pre-rinse bottle. About half full. Put our lid on. Hang it right on the side. Let's go ahead and get this started. One thing I'm going to make sure to add to these, just in case I need them, I want brushes because I do have cowled hood slats. So I want to make sure I can get in there good. So red and the Absolute, the gray, and the ONR. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start off with ONR on the passenger side. I've got my pre-spray here. Got my drying towel up there on the roof. Let's go ahead and soak this down. Let it start lifting. Now this car is not muddy or grimy or anything like that because it's been sitting inside, but it also hasn't sat with a car cover on it, so it's pretty dusty from sitting inside. Understand that this is more of a light cleaning. All I'm really caring about is the lubrication. Let's go ahead. I got that soaked down. Go ahead and grab our mitt, bring it out. Still pretty heavy. I'm gonna do from here over. I'm actually gonna leave the center just the way it is. So let's start here. I'm one that visits the bucket quite a bit. That's okay, you don't have to. It's just my preference to do. Everybody has their way. This isn't too bad. I wanted to do ONR first, just so I gave it a fair chance, because I really like Absolute personally, but I've never actually done it side by side with ONR, so it's been a while, so I wanted to try it out. All right, good there. I gotta get down on these louvers here. A little bit of agitation. Get right around here. So far, pretty happy with it. All right, now we cleaned it, we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna use the plush side to start and the low nap side to finish. So, I'm noticing a little bit of drag from the towel. No, I didn't pre-soak it. All right, but it does seem to dry off pretty nice. I'm not seeing where it's going to leave much here. Yeah, not too bad. A little bit of a dry drag to it, but that's not completely horrible to me. I've dealt with worse. And dries off nice, so yeah, seems to do pretty good. Let's move over to the driver's side and we will go ahead and test the Absolute. All right, we're gonna go ahead and do the Absolute over here. Something to note is I did notice it kind of started to get a little bit milky again, so you know, you might need to re-stir it back up again. But same deal. Now that I got that stirred up, pre-rinse, pre-spray. There we go. I'm not gonna go crazy. I'm gonna do the same thing as we did on the other side. Fair shake. Want everything to be the same. Once again, doing from here over and leaving the center. I use a red mule mitt, our egg company. A little bit better glide, not a ton, just a little bit. Yeah, I'm a little more speechless in this one than I was in going up against, putting Absolute up against Mckees 37. I will say that Absolute does seem to be a little slicker on the surface compared to ONR. Will I say leaps and bounds? No. Noticeable? Yes. But let's go ahead and finish here. Get our red brush, get in here in the louvers, get around the louver. Water behavior looks to be very similar. Absolutely no protection on this car really to speak of, other than I stripped some sealant from the beginning of the summer off before I parked it. I have intentions on coating it, just haven't got around to it. There's no protection on it. Once again, this is my towel that I designated, even though it's the same color as the other side. Still gonna dry with a different one. Same idea though. We're gonna go ahead, fluffy side first, low nap last. This is where Absolute stands out to me right here, is in this drying. I don't have a dry drag to this. It's just good and slick. It's what makes the difference to me. Well, I say it. I think this is what makes the difference to me here. But go ahead. Get a large chunk of it off. Flip over to the low nap side. I'm not seeing anything here. So it starts to get pretty dry here. It's starting to become a dry drag. And I will say it doesn't seem like it's wanting to wick up into the towel as easily here. Seems like it's taking a little more effort to get it to dry off the surface. just a little bit, not a bunch, you know, but for anyone out there that details, they know the more you touch a vehicle, the more scratches, more chances you have for scratches. But overall, that's it leaves the surface pretty clean there. Not seeing any streaking here of any sort. Yeah. 2 thumbs up for Absolute. Go ahead, talk about what I seen here, discuss what I think, and wrap this up. Check out down in the description. I'll have links to all the products that I used here. Also, while you're down there, please feel free to hit the subscribe button if you like the content you've seen today. Also, give it a thumbs up. Be greatly appreciative. But final thoughts. They have their pros and cons. ONR, Optimum No Rinse. I felt like it wasn't quite as lubricating whenever I was using it. Not far off of Absolute, but whenever I went to dry it, it soaked up into the towel quite a bit better. So I was touching the panel less. We know if we're touching the panel less, that's less chances for scratches. Absolute, great, fantastic lubrication when you're using it, but whenever I went to dry it, it didn't seem like it absorbed into the towel as much. Both those towels have only been used one time in the last video to dry my truck, whenever I tested Absolute with Mckees 37. If you haven't caught that video, check it out. I'll leave a link in the description of that so you can check that video out. And I washed them. That's literally the only time I've ever used those 2 towels. Outside of that, they just sit in my cabinet. I've never had a use for them other than testing purposes like this, which is just started. So I think they have their pros and cons. Can I say one's better than the other? I will just say they have their pros and cons. Take your pick. This is going to be very subjective. You're going to have the guys that are going to stick with ONR. You're going to have guys looking for something different. Me, I'll use them both personally. I think it'll just depend on what I'm washing and what I'm doing that day. Greatly appreciate it. If you find this helpful, stay tuned. I'll be doing more content like this. Also garage projects around here as well. So have a good one.